In 2017, SEG has been carved out of the division of the Bosch Group. I don't know how many of you have been through a transition like that as an IT responsible. But you have to imagine that you are suddenly responsible for applications and systems that you don't really know in detail. That you also have to define your responsibilities and processes from scratch. And also imagine, as in our case, you have to implement a new ITSM system within 4 weeks. You feel like you are working in a startup company with over 7,000 employees. Believe me, there was no room to worry about user experience. 3 years ago, when I started at SEG, we were still facing enormous challenges in IT. But at least there was a little breathing room to focus on such a project. And at the same time, you have to meet the requirements for certifications because the companies don't care how long you exist. They audit you with the same consequence as they audit other companies. That means that they have to introduce processes, and I mean introduce, not establish, so that all these requirements are met immediately. In theory, this may be possible. But my experience is that every process needs time to establish itself in an organization. You could think that with ITIL or COVID, this is not a big issue. But let's be honest. Do really all our colleagues understand these processes? Isn't the reality that our colleagues still can't always distinguish a service request from an incident? So you have to manage complexity somehow. Otherwise, your processes won't have the quality they need. In addition, there are always some conditions that do not allow you to easily implement standard processes. And we all have those, right? In our case, our end users had a very positive experience with the key user organization that they knew from Bosch. So it has been implemented at SEG as well. However, we process managers were critical about this method. Incidents either were not created at all or were created with poor information. And let's remember again the question if really everyone can distinguish an incident from a service request. But at that time, in addition, the external service desk did not have a good standing in our organization because of bad performance. And let's be honest, when you have almost no time and so many stakeholders, who would not rather adjust the system instead of the organization? At least enough that Matrix offers consulting for customization in addition to licenses. Okay, so we had a service desk that was not performing well. As a result, support was mainly provided by key users and local support teams. Unfortunately, both are not famous for the willingness to do some documentation. It is therefore not surprising that 3 years after the carve-out, the overall ticket quality was still not very satisfying. And this had far-reaching consequences. Our monthly reports, for example, could only show rough trends, but in no way the current status of the IT organization. And this also produced much effort at expensive positions. Our service managers, for example, were not able to approve a change request without checking the plausibility of the data and the ticket. And in addition, our service management solution, which was implemented in no time after the carve-out, I told you, was financially and functionally unsuitable for a medium-sized company and had to be replaced. At least now, with this replacement, it was the perfect time to rethink the current processes and learn from the mistakes we had made. And that is what we did. You can imagine that Matrix won the race about the new system, otherwise I would feel a bit misplaced here today. So 3 years ago, we started a replacement project and also with the internalization of the service desk. Both should go live at the same time in order to give our employees the highest level of an improved user experience. For this, we set ourselves the principles shown here. Of course, to meet all the requirements of the certification organizations, but at the same time to keep the complexity low in our daily work. You have to know that I have worked as a system administrator for more than 10 years, and I know that you can already be overwhelmed with the creation of a change ticket. Unfortunately, my team found that out. And that's why, in addition to the project manager, I also became the benchmark of complexity. Should I understand the ticket creation? Everyone understands it. But short spoiler, there were still many colleagues who criticized the complexity after the implementation, but that's okay. Anything else would be an illusion. And on the other hand, there were also many who complimented us after the rollout. And do you know why? Because we increased the experience in the system. Let me show you an example how we did that. Because our idea was not to offer dialogues or forms. Our users should be guided through the process with the help of wizards that adapt dynamically based on the information they enter. And in addition, we did not want to miss out any functions that Matrix offers in the ticket dialog, just because they might be too complicated to use. But let's take a closer look. So, here you can see the creation wizard of a ticket in our self-service portal. Let's imagine that in the recently implemented notification function for a major incident, we forgot to include the CIO, although it was designed that way. Okay, after I answered a short text to give the ticket a name, you can see that there are a few questions here that should clarify if the ticket is an incident or a service request. On the next page, we provide opportunities for the ticket creator to submit this ticket on behalf of someone else. Additionally, he can easily select notification options and add more people in the notification loop. In the description field here, the user is informed that experience has shown that a longer text with more information reduces the processing time. However, the user is not forced to enter a minimum number of characters, and this is also user experience. And to reflect our key user organization, we have added a smart function to the service that can be selected next to it. Basically, all tickets are assigned to the service desk after they have been submitted. However, if the user selects a service for that he has been defined as a key user, the ticket is directly assigned to a responsible group assigned to the service. Well, we skip the next points in the wizard and confirm the creation of that ticket. So, let's have a look at the ticket now. To solve that incident, we need a change. And here again, a wizard is displayed to help us to classify the change ticket correctly. By this action here, we can launch this wizard very easily. So, selecting the right change type can be a challenge by itself. You remember that I am the complexity benchmark? Yeah, right. It has to be simple. So every time you open the change ticket creation, all the available change types and their descriptions can be checked. With that, you always should know when to use which one. Okay, so in our case, we need a normal or non-standard change. Now, we need to enter some text and select the right service. The rest will be filled in automatically by master data stored at the service. A small note here, if the creator is also the change owner, the change does not need to be approved initially. So, but now it gets exciting. We have to find out which classification our change has. Maybe it is a significant one and needs CAP approval. And to find that out created a lot of difficulties for us in the past and is actually not that easy. Small example. You perform the same change twice. Once, the first time, and the other time, let's say the 20th time. The risk is much higher the first time than at the 20th time. And we wanted to take that and other risk indicators into consideration. And for this purpose, we have added several questions whose answers have certain values. And the sum of the answers is then used to calculate the change classification. It's similar to the prioritization method. So in our case, we have a minor change, and therefore we don't need to add any other informations like a change plan, rollback plan, and so on. We just need to select a priority, and we are done. And also for that purpose, we define some questions to calculate the priority. Here we also had the experience that the ticket creators prioritized according to their own interests and not from the point of view of the affected business division. And as annoying as it's that our CIO is not directly notified in the case of a major incident, it's still a low priority change. But yeah, it is still difficult to tell a system administrator now that an implement, test and build phase must be followed for a configuration that just takes 2 minutes and has absolutely no risks. And yes, it is too much for me as a complexity benchmark as well. Therefore, we created another change type. Officially, it is the small configuration change, but we all just call it the Hey Joe change. The requirements to use this type of change are shown here. There must be no risk associated with the implementation, and the implementation must have a small scope. We mentioned about 30 minutes here. In addition, this change type must be first approved in general by the respective service manager. Okay, so, and if I now enter our data here again, you will see that the documentation effort for change is less than a few minutes. Okay, what did we achieve with it? First, we have been able to ensure a high level of process compliance and even get positive feedback in audits. We have also increased the quality of our reports. We can now trust our values. Of course, incorrect entries still occur. I don't want to deny that, but we no longer have to train our users every time we notice issues. We simply adjust the wizard, and that's it. And what did we achieve for our users? Well, our users always get the information where they need it. We got a lot of positive feedback from our users that is really motivated. But on top of that, we saw a 15% increase in tickets in the first few months after our go live. So acceptance of the system seems to have increased, and we are pretty sure that it's because of an improved user experience. This has been also confirmed by Forrester in a total economic impact study that we did in cooperation with Matrix. And please allow me to take this opportunity to once again thank the consulting team of Matrix, who really did an outstanding job of implementing all of our ideas. I think you can guess how many obstacles we had to pass. And I truly hope that we have also achieved something for you. Maybe our little example has given you some ideas on how to create more user experience also in your company. It is worth it. Thank you.